I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, May the 31st, brought to you in part by Bovalus Vision. Clostridial vaccines that spur cattle forward, never backward, powered by the proprietary spur adjuvant that boosts vaccine performance while causing fewer reactions and reducing stress. Also, each bottle that you buy enters you into a monthly drawing for a custom-made Greeley cowboy hat. For more information, go to powered-by-spur.com. Best Punchy Pics that we've had since we started this contest, and it's the last day of the month. That's whenever we announce the winners of the Punchy Pic contest. The winner will receive a whole case of Fairpiece, that revolutionary product that calms cattle down just by applying it over their muzzle and over their poll there. A lot of people have been having a lot of luck with it. Also going to get some really cool stuff from Beaver Feed, Beaver, Oklahoma, and Beaver County Stockyards. So it's a good prize. Everybody that's gotten it has been very happy with it, and then I'm going to tell you all about those in just a minute. But talk about the factors affecting the market. The board was up big on Tuesday, first day of the week there, because Monday was a holiday, but up big. What caused that? They're saying fundamentals. Well, now all of a sudden they're going to start paying attention to fundamentals. Your June live cattle contract's been running at a $12 to $15 basis here for weeks. Still running that to the northern plains. Don't forget those guys are hedged up too. How much better off are they selling their cattle up there in the 180s, plus getting all that more basis, compared to the guys in the southern plains? And I've told you, it doesn't hardly seem fair, and I'm not sure why people that were going to retain ownership would select to send their cattle to the southern plains when they can't sell the fat cattle. I would just go ahead, pay a little more freight, and send them up to a northern feeder that would feed them for them. But the reason that things are kind of tightening up a little bit is because we've finished May. We're going to be within the contract month. We're leaving the bastard month of May. And it was a bastard talking about that, but I hate to say that, but board just looking, and you see your speculators and those investors that are on the long side, when they see that they're in the contract month, like they will be here tomorrow, then they start worrying about deliveries and things like that. Not that there's going to be any deliveries, because the board is still trading at a big discount to what, nearly $10, what your weighted average is in your 5-area feeding region. But that's the reason that the board went up big on live cattle. Feeder cattle were up huge, nearly $4 on the nearby months, and that has to do because we just had so much good moisture all over the country, and your corn's down. They're trying to talk about some kind of a flash drought in the eastern corn belt. Are you kidding me? Just because it hadn't rained the last 2 or 3 days, everybody is in good shape. There's some spots that are dry. The spots that are dry are the spots that are spoiled, that are never dry. You don't even know what it's like to be dry. And I'll have people argue with me, but as a whole, we're having a really wet year. Like I said, I drove up on the west side up to the plains there, and didn't see a spot that didn't look absolutely fantastic. Talked to a lot of farmers that are in Nebraska and Iowa and places, and then they said that the start of the corn crop just looks the best that they've ever seen it before. Maybe it is a little bit not as wet in the eastern corn belt. I have not been out there, but I think we're going to be okay. They've got a lot of rain scheduled to come there in about a week, and things are going to be all right. So they're having a hard time finding a reason to keep propping these grain prices up, and so they're falling a little bit. And the grains pay so much more attention to fundamentals than what your livestock do, because they're a deeper contract. Your livestock, even live cattle, but especially feeder cattle, are such a shallow contract that they're easily pushed around by fund investors and things like that that kind of try to bully that market around quite a bit. But fact of the matter is, there are 700,000 fewer cattle this year for packers to purchase, and we're not going to see a significant increase in market-ready cattle. They tried to pretend that we were going to see some in the latter part of May. They just continued to get tighter and tighter and tighter, and they are going to be continuously tight going through this summer. We always see some pressure late in the summer because that's just the way things are, but we're not going to have significantly more market-ready cattle until sometime next year. But talk about your Punchy Pick of the Month contest winners, and the winner take all. The first place is the one that gets it, but we like to recognize the first 3 spots. But the third place winner, the Punchy Pick contest, was submitted by Daniel Truxell. And this is a picture taken at Stanton Union Stockyards in Stanton, Virginia. They're friends of ours, the Weikerts there that own that. And I'm not sure if this is Daniel's truck or if he just took the picture, but this badass old Ford truck there, pulling a much newer gooseneck, but it actually has quite a few years on it too, waiting to unload there at Stanton Union Stockyards in Stanton, Virginia. You just gotta love the look of that, and I think that's a really cool Punchy Pick there for third place this month. Second place goes to Dan Eoff of Clinton, Arkansas. Now look at this picture. You just kind of have to look at it for a minute and just imagine what all happened. But they've been having a problem with wild pigs there around Clinton, Arkansas, where he has his farm, and they had to get some help from old Scotty. That's the family's pet Highlander there, and he said that Scotty is just as docile as you'd ever want to be. People can go up and scratch his head, and he's good with people, good with little kids, and that's why he's the family pet there, because not much other reason to have a Highlander around like that. But anyway, but Scotty does not like varmints around whenever he's getting fed. And evidently this wild pig come in, thought that he was going to steal some of Scotty's feed, and he found out different. But that is a really cool Punchy Pick. If you guys are interested in what we're looking for, that's one. But this month's winner of the Punchy Pick of the Month contest is Matt Ludlow of Rush Creek Ranch, and that's in Viroqua, Wisconsin. Now they've recently moved stocker cattle from Alabama up to Wisconsin to summer on those pastures up there, and he moved those cattle from Leetahatchee, Alabama. Okay, so from where those calves were coming from, they'd had significant rain in that part of the country there too, and so the guys that were shipping those calves up to them in Wisconsin, they were having a hard time keeping those calves out of the different pastures there, and so they were having to put some panels there across this pond. And I tell you what, that's pretty punchy right there, and we think that's really cool. Again, I do not pick the Punchy Pick of the Month contest winners. My co-workers do it. I'm not going to give them a hard time about that, or they'll make me start doing it, and I'm not sure I would have picked it that way. But that last picture of Aiden Parrott and Bishop Holcomb, those two boys there that are working on that fence, pretty cool. Let's talk about your board for Tuesday. June live cattle futures up $1.52 at 168.87. August up $2 smooth at 167.17. Back months were all up big, up $1.07 to $1.72. Feeder cattle were up big also. August up $3.85 at 237.77. Now that's getting close up there to all-time highs, because I think we're in the 240s somewhere. I'm going to have to check on that, but my goodness, doesn't that sound good for an 800-pound grass steer coming off there in late July? How about September feeder cattle up $3.57 at 240.67? Your back months were all up big from 245 to 345. December corn, of course, it was up pretty good last week, but on Tuesday it was down 9.25 cents, ending regular trading on Tuesday at 5.25 cents a bushel, and that's for new crop December. New crop November beans down 36.25 at 11.53 cents. July Kansas City wheat down 35.5. Woo! And that's 7.83 3/4. Not sure if they think that there's any chance that some of this moisture in the southern plains that we've been seeing right now is going to help that crop. I mean, that crop was absolutely miserable all winter long, but I guess they are going to harvest some of it. But your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle sales on a direct basis in your 5-area feeding region was 85,200, bigger than what we normally have. You get big movement of sales whenever you have a higher market. That's the way that works. That compares to 60,400 the previous week and 68,700 the same week a year ago. Your live sales of steers and heifers out of your feedlots in the 5 area ranged from 168 to 185. That was $1 to $3 higher on the spread. Your weighted average on live steers last week was 177.94, up 279 compared to the previous week. Really good recovery there. Dress sales ranged in price on steers and heifers in the 5 area from 280 to 289, $5 to $7 higher, and your weighted average on dress steers was 284.36, up 352. To really zero in on the market, your northern plains market was another $2 to $4 higher, just gaining a bigger lead on the southern plains. But most of your cattle in the northern plains are bringing from 180 to 182. Dress sales steady to $4 higher from 280 to 286. Southern plains sold steady to mostly $1 higher from 170 to mostly 171, and that seems like quite a gap. Nationwide, we saw almost 100,000 head sold, and that seems like a pretty good movement. I don't complain as much when we get around 100,000 head moving in a week. I would like to see the 100,000 head move in the 5-area feeding region, but nationwide we saw nearly 100,000, 99,600 head of negotiated sales. And about 30% of those are for the 15 to 30 day delivery. I don't like to see that many, but nearly 100,000 negotiated. Negotiated grid was much bigger than normal because as they were trying to get those guys, especially in the northern plains, to take the prices that they were bidding, they were giving them that price and letting them have the grid, which on the good cattle is going to make those cattle come back at a higher price. But it's not really negotiated grid. They didn't haggle over the base price. It was just whatever the market was, they would give you the grid kickers. Of course, you got to take the discounts too. But 53,500 head negotiated grid. Forward contracting was a little bigger than what they'd been, 30,800. And formula sales down a little bit at 251,400 head. Of your 4 areas of the 5 that we get to see information on, Iowa last week sold 33,000 head. They just continue to keep scraping on them. They're going to be plumb out of cattle. They keep pulling on Iowa so hard. Nebraska 26,400 last week. Kansas negotiated only 13,800. In Texas, pretty good movement for Texas, 12,000 head last week. Box beef cutout values higher to start the week here. Choice cuts up $1.03 at 304.96. Selects up $2.85 at 287.77. Your slaughter, of course, it's a holiday week, but actually running about 2,000 behind the same holiday week a year ago at 128,000 through the first 2 days of the week. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction. Based on that 800-pound steer on the average, cash auction steer up through the middle 12 states late in the day on Tuesday was sitting at 208.80, which was down big but receipts have been very, very light. We had a long weekend, not many sales last week, not many sales early this week. That's kind of what happens whenever you have holidays that run in like that. But talk about a sale that they're going to have here today on Wednesday, bigger than normal, and for no more cattle than it takes to draw some interest, you guys might want to check out Paris Livestock in Paris, Texas. Yeah, they sell small lots, similar at times, a lot of times. But tell you what, Gilly Flott is really pushing this in-house video, and he's getting cattle on there, guys. Got some good cattle. He's got 3 loads of 900-pound steers, and they're out of Elmore City, Oklahoma. So you guys in Oklahoma looking for some feeder steers, 3 loads weigh 900 pounds. Get on there. If you just want to watch online and call somebody there and bid over the phone, you can do that. If you're more comfortable with that than you are at bidding online, do that. But get a hold of them. They're going to sell them early in the afternoon here today on Wednesday. They've got 1 load of 525-pound heifers coming out of New Boston, Texas. They're all black and black baldy. Be pretty nice kind. And then just added late, 2 more loads of 930-pound steers out of Clarksville, Texas. So pretty good video offering there at Paris Livestock in Paris, Texas. And that's on dvauction.com. Talk about your bigger sales, brick and mortar type sales on a Tuesday. Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri. Light receipts due to the holiday and other reasons too, but 1,600 head. Market was steady in a light test. Dan Hill did mention that they're starting their haying, first cutting of haying there because they've had a few days there without rain. It's going to be much better than last year, but still kind of below average from what they're usually there on the fescue haying right there. But talk about your National Beef Wire stick out sale of the day, and it don't take much to make one, but I mean the prices are big, but just less than 2,000 head there at Unionville Livestock Market, and only a few weights that were really well tested. But Tracy Thompson, my friend there, she called the feeders sharply higher and called slaughter cows 10 to 12 bucks higher than the last test they had, which was 2 weeks ago. But you look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central, and you see 313 head of 5-weight steers, average 554 with a weighted average price of 274.58. 311 head 9-weight steers, average 916 at 212.07. I'm going to tell you a little more about that in a minute, but my goodness, how about on the heifers? 271 head of 5-weight heifer calves, average 527. Weighted average price on all of them, $237.39. Give you a few stick out sales from around. How about Beaver County Stockyards? They finally had some rain up there, making that Beaver River overflow its banks a little bit. But on our last visit, I told you about some 90-day wean steer calves they were going to have in there. Well, 77 of them weighed 450 pounds and bring 319 through the ring at Beaver County Stockyards, guys. Don't miss out that sale if you're looking for a good place to sell cattle. How about Bluegrass Stockyards, Lexington, Kentucky, the flagship location right there. They had some nice heifers there, 151 head of them, weighed 662 out in Lexington, Kentucky. And that 151 head weighed 662 at 225.90. Pretty good quote there. But your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Unionville Livestock Market. It was our stick out sale also. It was a Rockin' R cattle that I quote quite a bit on here. I've been told that some of the buyers there, some of the guys around have kind of changed that to Smokin' R for a way that those cattle usually sell when they bring them in there. But Rockin' R cattle had 5 loads of big feeder steers in there, weighed 911 pounds at $2.12 a pound. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.